scholar, spiritual director, priest, and friend. What you may not know is that Father Joseph Carver is also an avid sailor and ocean racer, and was a captain in the U.S. Merchant Marines. As a Jesuit volunteer, Father Joseph was placed here in Seattle, working for the Archdiocesan Housing Authority, and lives in Mercy House, which is currently the rectory at Our Lady of Mount Virgin Church. Perhaps this appointment was providential, and an allusion to his vocation as a Jesuit priest, and ministry as president of the Seattle Nativity School. You see, the Seattle Nativity School, which opened its doors for the first time this fall, is located on the first floor of Our Lady of Mount Virgin Church, the very parish where he lived as a volunteer. Whether he's working with high school students as teacher and campus minister at Seattle Prep, or serving as pastor and regional superior in Missoula, Montana, or helping to found a new Catholic school right here in the heart of Seattle, Father Joseph is, at heart, a true teacher. It only takes one conversation to know that he is a man of deep faith, and a man who believes in the transformative power of Catholic education.
Always has a big hug for you, and he always has his beard there too, and he just seems like a really warm and compassionate guy when you're around him, and his eyes twinkle a lot.
A huge personality, a huge person, heart and spirit. He is a person touched by the Holy Spirit, filled with great desires. He is ambitious for good things. He loves to live his life in a way that touches other people's lives. He grew up in upstate New York on a farm, but he was educated classically by his family and his schooling. Went on to get all kinds of degrees, and yet his whole purpose in life is to give himself away.
He puts his heart, he puts his energy, he puts his talent and skills at every level, raising money, to being on boards, to playing at recess, to saying mass, all into a school. So he literally, from top to bottom, Father Carver helps a school and helps their students in their mission to be fulfilled.
And passion isn't for subjects, it's for students, and for their connection to this world that is so diverse and so transforming. He calls them out to it, and that's what I love about him. He's always an educator, whether he's in the classroom or in the pulpit, whether he's walking down the street and meets some student that he knows. He pulls them into a conversation, and he is opening the world to them in some way. He never gets free of that.
He's right. You don't know what they're going to say in the videos. So, John, thank you. The love of a brother is a strong city. I begin and end tonight with the same two words. Thank you. And what I offer tonight is a series of two words. The first two words are show up. She was 6'2", so I had to look up to her. She played the double bass and told us that she was the only one in her class that could reach the fingerboard, so she had to play the bass. She was always inviting us to show up. Show up to class, show up to practice, show up to our lives. Her name was Sister John Magdalene of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Now, many people have stories about the nuns, how they did this or that. But from 5th through 8th grade, I had 5 sisters teach me, and each of them were outstanding educators, kind but firm, loving and strict, demanding and compassionate, faithful, and yes, at times, a bit irreverent. They were so obviously women of prayer who cared deeply for each other and for us. Most of all, I remember them as joyful women who showed up. I remember Sister John asking me to go over and serve a funeral at the last minute. She said simply, the family needs you to be there. And then in the midst of that funeral, during that familiar sound of a chain clinking as the incense billowed, it was like it was saying, show up, show up, show up. Her words of instruction. And the sisters were there for us. They came to our games, our confirmations, our family funerals, our scouting ceremonies, and wow, could they sing. And then, as if out of nowhere, they would always sing the last song after the Christmas play. And there they were, their faces, their habited faces illumined only by candles, singing O Holy Night. We looked up to the sisters because they loved us. We loved them because they showed up. And this is exactly what all of you have done here tonight. You have shown up to support what you believe in, shown up to support Catholic schools. And what makes your efforts selfless is that those you will help will not be able to thank you themselves. And given that, I offer two more words. Stand up. Several years ago, I taught at our Jesuit high school in Portland. And whenever I turned back student homework, I would not let go of the paper until the student said thank you. Now, one student, Colin Quaid, asked me one time, Father Carver, why do you always make such a big deal about manners? And I looked at him and I said to the class, clear your desks. Put everything away. This is important. Now, knowing that they were burning class time, they readily agreed. And so I wrote on the board, Joseph Carver, SJ. And I asked them, what does the SJ stand for? Society of Jesus. They moaned back drearily. And then I wrote Colin Quaid, EB. What does the EB stand for? I asked Colin as he stood there. I have no idea, Father Carver. Eternal being, I whispered to him. There is part of you that will never be destroyed. A part of you is eternal, your soul. And that is worth honoring. You are worth honoring. Lots of times people will tell you to be polite or be respectful, but nobody tells you why. And it is because you, each of you, are eternal beings. And that is why every human person has dignity, regardless of who they are. That is why manners are important. Colin looked up at me and simply said, that's deep, Father Carver. But after that, for the rest of the year, whenever I left a space for their names, followed by a comma, each student, every time, wrote 2 letters, EB. The mission of Catholic schools is the mission of Christ, to make all creation alive with the power of redemption, forming loving and thoughtful women and men, young women and men who understand why we do things, who understand that Jesus, the Son of God, by becoming flesh, summons us to a revolution of tenderness, of mercy and compassion, summons us to show up, to believe we are eternal beings, and to stand for those who are invisible, voiceless, poor, undereducated, overlooked, those whose lives are bruised or caught in the shadows. 2 final words. catch fire. There is a sign that hangs in Seattle Nativity School, a quote from Teilhard de Chardin, that says simply, "Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God." And when I hear the laughter of students in the hallway, I know these words are true. And after a 3-year joint effort of the Archdiocese and the Society of Jesus, Seattle Nativity was able to open its doors this past September. Indeed. The school is a Catholic Jesuit-endorsed middle school with an emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and math. A middle school that serves low-income, underserved youth in Central and South Seattle. And our kids represent a broad range of cultural and religious backgrounds. Over the next 3 years, Seattle Nativity will continue to add classes to become a full 5th through 8th grade middle school, serving 100 students each year. Our mission is clear and simple, but not easy: to break the cycle of poverty through education. An education that nourishes souls and ignites leaders for love and service to change lives one at a time. A favorite poet of mine, W.B. Yeats, writes, "Education must never be about the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." And a Catholic Jesuit education is about a fire that enkindles other fires. Catholic Jesuit education is not complete until we have followed the words and the advice of Ignatius of Loyola in his call, until indeed we have set the world on fire. At Seattle Nativity, we believe, like all of you around these tables tonight, that the long-term solution to poverty in struggling communities is education. And every single one of you knows the power of Catholic education. Through Catholic education, these students are stepping forward from the shadows of poverty, of eclipsed opportunity, of falling further and further behind. They are crossing the threshold, and with Fulcrum's help, entering a day lit with new possibilities, with bright promises, and work yet to be done. They are being called from fitful nights in overcrowded homes into classrooms of discovery, from visiting parents in prison to finding safety in a loving school, from homes that have had the power shut off more than once, into the light of a new future, into a new vision of themselves. Through hard work, they kindle this vision as they fall in love with reading and writing, with science. They hope to see in their own lives what all of us here tonight have seen: the light of hope that comes with achievement. It really is. It's an incandescent moment for a teacher to watch students find and feel success, to finally reach that moment of comprehension and understanding, that moment of deep joy, that moment when they can look up at a teacher saying, "This is my story. This is my book report. That's my artwork." And there's nothing more gratifying to me personally than a student who stands up and with a bit of sass says, "Father Carver, it doesn't matter that my parents didn't go to college, because I'm going." Every Friday at Seattle Nativity School, our morning meeting with the students always focuses on gratitude. We name aloud the things that we are thankful for, and so cultivate in our students the awareness of this grace as a power to overcome failure, loneliness, or limitation. It is gratitude, my friends, that opens our hearts, our minds, our whole selves to what God has done and is doing in our schools. It reminds us that none of us have arrived here where we are tonight without the help of so many who have gone before us. Let us remember that tonight's celebration of light is not a celebration of our light. It is a light that can never be fully possessed. It is the light of Christ. It is a light shining so brightly that young lives can no longer remain in the shadows. It is a light that has not been given to us to simply gaze at, but to illumine and expose our hearts. The light of Christ provides us with vision, a vision that impels us to act, to commit ourselves to concrete transformation of young lives, to nourish souls for love and service. So tonight, let us give thanks for what we have received. Show up in the places you are called. Stand up and claim what God has made for you. Catch fire with the love that will transform the world. Stand with me tonight if you believe that education is about forming the whole person, about character and moral development. Stand up with me tonight if you believe that all of our children have the opportunity to step forward from the shadows into the light. Stand up for human learning and dignity. Stand up with me tonight if you believe in Catholic education. Stand with me now if you want to pair words with actions and the light you experience tonight with a new vision for all. Our first and last prayer tonight is simple. Give thanks. Thank you.